And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Some games just look cool, and Magestorm is definitely one of those. Now, Magestorm is a game, it's a combat game. It's a game from Nexus, and I saw it last year at Gen Con, and I looked at it, wow, plastic pieces and everything, and didn't get a chance other than I just thought casually in passing, oh, it's like Battle Lore. I pulled it out, we set it up, and we played it. Some people came by and said, it's like Battle Lore. Well, you know what? It ain't. This is a game that's about fighting, and I have to say, regardless of whatever your opinions may be on this game after you play it, it's definitely, to me, a very unique and refreshing take on this fighting genre. This isn't a copy of other games. This is something new and different. I'm not going to explain the whole game. Let's look at a few parts. I'm not going to go into all the details of the game, but I wanted to talk about a few things that I really like about this game. One of those is magic. This game has different books of magic, in a sense. You can see here's the Druid, but the Druid's not the only. We have the Air Mage, we have the Time Mage, or the Fate Guardian, I guess is their name, and we have the Fire Mage. And both of these are just, they all have their own little board, and it tells you the different spells that a player can cast. And what this game has is at the beginning of each turn, you get a certain amount of tokens that you will place on your starting point from where the magic is derived. And you're able to move these down different paths. You can move a certain amount on each path, shown by the little icons between the path. And then, I can move them a little bit farther. So if I do this, this means I can now cast the Flare spell once, I can cast the Bravery spell once, I can cast a Lesser Elemental, I can cast Blindness. Those are the spells that my tokens are on. However, I could decide not to and cast and move it another turn and cast Wildfire, or I can move it down here and cast a Greater Elemental or eventually the Prime Elemental. And if I get enough tokens, each turn I'm adding 4 more tokens, and they'll spread out in the board. So you kind of are preparing your magic spells, and you're going to want to use them, but you need to use them wisely. And the spells are very different for the different schools. And so this, to me, is probably the coolest feature of the game. It is something I like a lot, and I look forward and hope that in the future expansions, they have more mages and more, schools of magic and spells that you can cast. Now, I'm telling you, the board, when you first see it, you're like, oh, Battle Lore, Memoir 44, the commands and color system, especially once you start placing the terrain all over the board, and it seems to be the exact same thing. You're placing these terrain down and making different spots on the board. Of course, you probably would finish that river if you were making the terrain, but there's different scenarios in a scenario booklet, which comes with the game, and this scenario has multiple scenarios in it that show you how to set the terrain up. And let's see, I believe there is, 10 different scenarios in here. Each one has different things that you do, and it shows you the starting forces for each army. Now, one of the things, and the reason I wanted to show you the board is because this game differentiates a lot on how things work. You have a stack of soldiers. You see, this is a number 4 stack. So I could put this here, and a stack of troops together can be anywhere from, it can be really small, but it can go all the way up to 8. If it's 8, I would just add another stack of troops with it. Now there's 8 of them together, and they're all number 4. And the reason that I have that number 4 there is because I'm going to be taking cards of my troops and putting them together under my number 4 card. So I'll put them all in number 4. Now this is the green card. So let's say that was I would find the blue number 4 card, and I would put all the troops of my type together underneath that number 4. And so at first I was a little confused when I saw the different forces that came, because I said they don't have a figure for all the different forces. And that's because the figures don't matter themselves. In fact, you can put whatever figures you there. They're more for aesthetic purposes than anything else, because your opponent does not know what units you have in your army until they engage them. Now, the way the game works is you'll be putting these command markers on the board, and each turn your forces are going to move towards those command markers. Now you have tactical things that you can do at the beginning of your turn, and you can rearrange your armies, you can move these command markers, but it's not just move all your men on the board. You give them an order and they will follow it. Now you can be very specific where you put the command tokens, but all your troops might move in different directions, and you have to figure out where these command tokens are and how many of your points you want to spend using them. So that's an interesting feature and one that I haven't seen in many other games. This is the main part of the game, and I wanted to talk about this because I think that it adds a lot to the game, and it's certainly different than any other game. So I'm going to show you an example combat here. Let's say Unit 8 attacks Unit 6. The combat takes place in 10 steps, but it's not as complicated as you think. The first thing players do is they reveal their first troop. Now the order matters, and like I said, there's those tactical points or strategic points that you can spend, and you can change the order of your armies, you can merge them together, etc., split them apart, what have you. But you reveal the first one, and then players decide if they're going to play any spells. Also, since the battle is being fought in a hex, the defender is going to take a card equal to the terrain of the hex. Let's say, for example, this hex is fought in the runes, so the defender would add this card to their side. And then players can play spells. So let's say, for example, this side over here plays speed, and they're going to add this card to their side, and they're also going to cast a prime elemental, massively powerful person who's going to join their side. But the green side is going to cast strength. Now, once they do that, players are then going to, after they've cast their spells, players are then going to deploy. You're going to put 4 in the front row, and any extras that you have go in the back row, like this. So let's say these guys are here, and they deploy a fire elemental in the front row, and these guys in the back row. And adding speed and the ruins. Now this is a big deal here because all these numbers are going to be added together. So really what we do, once we show everybody, we put all the cards together so you can look at the numbers here separately. And again, these numbers only count for those in the first row. All numbers in the back row aren't in the battle yet. Now, these numbers on the cards mean several things, and they're all for battle purposes, so let's focus up a little bit more on this battle. The first thing you do is you have your engagement. This is basically when they're running at each other. There's a lot of arrows being shot. There's cavalry hitting, so these guys have an advantage. So both sides are going to roll a die and see who has the initiative. So blue gets a 6, and green gets a 5. The initiative is added to all the blue numbers. So 21, 22 plus 5 is 27. Blue has 8, 9, 15, 16, 17. So green has the initiative here, and that's helped to a lot of archers. So green fires first, which can make a big deal. At this point, then, green will attack using their attack numbers. That's the yellow. And they'll roll a die adding it to those attack numbers. So that's 12 plus 2 is 14. Blue will roll a die, 6 added to their defense. 8, 9, 12, 15, 18, 20. The defense is higher than the attack, so only minimum damage is inflicted. Now, some cards have just 1 damage. That's the pink number there. But this guy has 3, but you see the archers have 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, 3s on them. So they're only going to do the 2 damage. So they do 9 damage. Now, this 9 damage is done over here to this first gentleman on the other side. Let's take a closer look at his card. You'll see that he can take 7 points of damage. So he is killed, and the extra 2 points of damage are put on these guys, who are now going to fire back. They're going to roll dice and attack back the same way, which is going to do some kind of damage and maybe will kill somebody. After that, then players can play more magic or do special powers, like fire elementals can burn, archers can do different things. There's different kinds of special powers that can be played. And not to mention, in fact, I didn't even play this strength card here, which is counts as 1 times all the numbers here. Now, that's a little confusing. It should have just said, I guess, double, but it adds an extra huge amount of strength, so they would have done more damage, maybe killing 2 people. After all the fighting is over of that first engagement and then special powers, then players can play more magic cards. Then everybody will move up into the 4th row to fill up any spots that are full. So let's say there's a spot here. This guy will move up into this row. And they'll fight now in a melee situation, which is done the exact same way, but now it's simultaneously, so damage will happen at the same time. Then more magic can occur, and then the battle will end. If the defenders have been wiped out, then so be it. Otherwise, the attackers move back out. Or sometimes you're attacking with multiple armies, so then your second army comes in for the kill. So the damage, the die rolling is there. There's randomness involved, but it's really minimal compared to the numbers that are on these cards. And so you have to figure out the best combination of army. Are you going to pick people with high initiative so as you get that first blow in? Or are you going to pick people with who are just powerhouses? And so there's a lot going on here, but I've never seen a combat system like this. The game continues until one player has accomplished the objective of the scenario. At that point, that player has won. Wow, I like this game. It's neat. It has great artwork. The magic system's neat. It just had a very refreshing feel to it. However, if this game does not come out with some expansions over the next years, then I probably will eventually get rid of it, because I will probably have played out all the interesting things that are in it. I really would like to see more divergence amongst troops, types, see some more special abilities, more spells to kind of just keep it from becoming too samey. The system itself is sound. Now I want to see some more variety to it. So you say, well, I'm not sure I want to get the game then. If you're looking for really long-term replayability, I'm not sure it's here. I think you play through all 10 scenarios and play some of those multiple times, and you're going to be fine. But hopefully we can see more on its way. So I'm going to hang on to Magestorm. I'll stick it right here on the shelf. And I hope that they're going to come out with some good expansions for this in the future. But if they don't, then it's not going to stay here very long. So we're going to wait and see. It's good. It's intriguing. The magic system's neat. The combat system I like. The board is good. I've always liked those style boards. And it's easy to set up and play with lots of tactical decisions. And a very good system of magic implemented. All we want is more, and I'm going to call it fantastic.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.